Welcome back to the Voice of Metal, where we talk about all things metal. I've been thinking about this for a while now, as far as the talking about all things metal. And I think I need to rephrase that because really we're talking about metal musicians, and it should be considered the voices of metal. So I'm thinking that maybe that the whole wording of what I've said may not be quite accurate for what I'm planning on doing down the road, which is hopefully interviewing and getting to know the musicians behind all the wonderful music that we listen to and this, that, and the other. So I'm hoping that you will like and subscribe. Don't forget, headbang that like and subscribe button. Without you guys, we will not have this awesome channel. And I do appreciate the new people that have joined up. Thank you very much for doing that. Just so you know, I'm thinking about doing well right now. I'm going to be talking about some of the most intense metal songs in history, or the most brutal, I guess you could say, the ones that are really intense. So if you're more of a lighter metal fan, you might not like this, but you never know, you might actually kind of get into it because I'm not super into the heavy kind of growling, really super heavy ones, but I'm kind of in between the. But I do listen to some. So like Cannibal Corpse and Slayer, of course, gotta have Slayer. Slayer's really heavy, but they're just kind of like at the, I think, at the cusp of that, to where it's not where you can still hear the words stuff, which is actually one of the things I definitely enjoy. Is if I hear the lyrics around, I usually enjoy it a lot more for myself. And I'm sure there's probably a lot of other people out there who probably agree with me a little bit, but also having the really heavy stuff is pretty freaking awesome too. So here is a list of some of the interesting songs, and I'll put the playlist from some of the songs that I've talked about on the channel, so you know. It might not be right away, but I'll try to add those as soon as possible. Okay, the first one that I've heard about is one of the most brutal or intense metal ones in history. Number 10 would be like Eaton from Bloodbath, which I got to hear a little bit of it. I didn't hear all these songs. I know a few of them, but not all of them. So you'll have to excuse me if I don't know the song that well. But yeah, I'm definitely gonna check it out because I've got them on my, like, the most intense metal songs in history. So that's cool. Well, so far, I should say. Later on, who knows? 10 years from now, that list might change. Who the hell knows, right? Anyway, uh, the Bald Cadaver, from Cerebral Bore. I hope I say that. Some of the names I'm gonna have a hard time pronouncing because I don't know the names of the songs. It sounds rather interesting. I got to hear a little bit with the musicals, and actually some quite a bit of it sounds really good on some of these songs. So we'll find out. I was going down through like different websites to see what kind of music that would sound really good. And there was a list of like brutal songs, and I thought, okay, I'll check that out, and I'll check out, see, I could Google some other ones that people thought were really intense or brutal songs. So these are really heavy songs, so that's kind of cool. The Butcher the Week from Devourment. Interesting. I haven't heard that one at all. And the first three I haven't really heard. Now, Whitechapel I have heard, and I do know quite a few of their songs. Not all of them, but like maybe four or five. I don't know. I'm not. I don't usually. Well, I listen to some Whitechapel, so I can't say I don't listen to any. Prosthetic fluid. No, I don't know. Asphyxiation is how you pronounce it. Sorry, I'm tongue tied here. Anyway, the next one on the list is The Dying Fetus from Skull F. No, I think it's the title of the song is Skull F. I'm not gonna say the word because censoring. Dying Fetus. So I apologize. Because this is actually from the one I found on the playlist is actually from somebody that actually uploaded or something on their YouTube, on the YouTube channel. Um, so I don't know if they have the actual song out there. I'll have to keep looking for it. Maybe if I have time, if I don't forget um, to add that in there. Anyway, the next one is going to be from Mayhem called Chainsaw Guts F. I'm not gonna say, like I said, gotta keep it clean as much as I can here. Now this one I definitely know for certain. It's of course Slayer itself, which I was hoping to see here maybe some bands that I usually do listen to for the most intense metal music of all time. It's called Angel of Death, which actually I do agree with. That is a really heavy song. It's really cool. Brutal is what they were called, referred to. Angel of Death. Oh, wait a minute, sorry, wrong one. I got wrong one. Anyway, suffocation from infecting of the crypt. Oh, infecting the crypts is what it's called, which is rather interesting. That sounds really cool. I did get to hear a little bit of that one too. I kind of had a little sample of each one as I was making the list, so I went ahead and you know checked it out. Now, cattle decapitation, I have heard of, and I have heard a lot of their, well, a few of their songs. Um, I would say maybe about a handful. Who knows? Anyway, the song that I've seen online, um, which is the most brutal and intense songs ever in history, forced gender reassignment. That's an interesting title because especially with all the news about that kind of stuff being out there, I don't know how new this song is and how old it is, so it'd be kind of interesting to see how where it falls within everything else that's going on right now. And number one is Cannibal Corpse, of course. We gotta love Cannibal Corpse, and they have some really good songs. So if you've never listened to them or any of these other bands, I encourage you to check them out. Granted, if you're not the super heavy, gruesome kind of metal or deep down grungy kind of like death metal or black metal music, I encourage you to check it out. So, oh, by the way, it's Hammer Smashed Face is what the name of the title from Cannibal Corpse is. So I apologize for that. And that reminds me, speaking of different metal music, and that's the end of the list, by the way. And I'll add that later on. One of the things, I got to listen to some songs that sounded rather familiar, and one of them was from King Diamond, and I didn't even realize it was a King Diamond song. I think somebody did a cover of it, and I've always liked the song. I thought, oh my gosh, this is a King Diamond song, which I didn't know. I haven't heard much. I know King Diamond. I know some. I think I've heard a few of their songs, but I haven't heard a lot of their songs. So this is one that was not familiar with. I don't remember the title, unfortunately. I can look it up here after a while, but then you'd have to see me scrolling through my phone to find it because I did like it not too long ago because I liked it a lot. Um, that reminds me. Speaking of things, and I know, yeah, I'm gonna go back to some of my previous episodes again because I've mentioned certain bands that a lot of people I know have mixed feelings about. Metallica, unfortunately, with the 72 seasons. Now, the one thing that was rather interesting that reminds me when I say play music, it seems like it comes up quite a bit, which is rather interesting because I wasn't like trying to look for the newest Metallica songs and things like that. I'm trying to remember here. Wait a minute. Shadows Fall. No, Shadows Follow. That was one of the songs that was playing. I had heard this prior to this. And if you really listen to a certain, very small segment of certain parts of the song, there is a very specific part in that song that reminds you of something else. And I'll tell you what that is. It's the old school Batman theme song. No joke. If you so when you listen to it, even if you don't like Metallica, go check it out. Go check it out. Trust me, it's really cool. It's different because because there's a lot of songs out there that I've been listening to. I mean, I've been trying to expand the horizon of what I've listened to in the past and what I'm listening to now. And a lot of the stuff that I enjoy now, that's the more popular songs, actually, some of that is fairly familiar to other songs. Like Celtic Frost is another one that has some really good music, and a lot of those sound like other bands' music, or what should say was originally Celtic Frost. And I think Flossom and Jetsam is another one that actually I think a lot of people have taken bits and pieces of probably their music. I don't know which one came out first. I'd have to do some research on the ones that I have heard. But yeah, it's rather interesting. So some of them are almost exactly identical and some are not. Some are bits and pieces, like little tidbits of songs. And there's some that what they do is they take a part of the song and then they raise it up or a little lower it down. It still sounds kind of the same, but the octaves are different. You know, they have a higher note or a lower note, and it's rather interesting. I like the covers, and I've already said this before and I'll say it again. There is actually in this moment has had the one album they put out recently, the last one I think had quite a few covers on it, which I think they could have done a little bit better with that. I think they could have added a few of their own more unique songs of theirs. I do know that I think a Ghost has done that recently, I believe, but they got some pretty good songs. I'm not huge into Ghost, and I'm not huge into Sleep Token. I know a lot of people seem to like that. I'm not sure why people do, but you know, hey, that's them. I mean, he's got some good vocals. He's got a great voice, but I think for what it is versus what the music is, I don't know if it works. For me, I don't feel like it works that well. If he had some heavier riffs with his vocals, like him singing heavier with the lighter stuff or the more, how do you say, classic music, I think it would work really well. That's my personal opinion, just like Ghost. But Ghost has some interesting stuff on some of their stuff. It's really cool. The one thing is, I was telling somebody I know that he hadn't heard much of Ghost's music, and I said, well, they did do a cover song of Metallica's, and which one was that? Is it Enter Sandman? I said, oh, well, that explains it. So he goes, I'm not interested because he thinks that was the album, the Black Album was the one that they sold out on, and Enter Sandman was not his favorite song, unfortunately. So it's rather interesting. Thank you for watching. I appreciate for my live viewer that's on here right now. I appreciate you for doing that. It's rather interesting. I don't know who you are. If you want to say hello, you can, because I think the chat is open if you would like to do that. Um, anyway, I'm going to get back to what I was talking about before about these different songs. But if there's even actually I forgot who it is. It's a pop singer, and there was a song that sounded just like a rock song, a metal song, and I thought, and they made it more pop. There was also another song that I do know. There's a Metallica song that sounds just like Static X's Black and White. I don't remember which song it is, and it wasn't like the newest ones. It was more, I'd say, around the Saint Anger album area, I think is what it came from. That it sounds, there's certain parts of this sound familiar. There's also, hey Glover, how are you doing? I appreciate it. Thank you very much. Hey, you're my first live stream viewer, which is really cool. I like that. It's kind of cool because I get to hear from you guys. I get to talk to you guys. I try not to make these too long because apparently the YouTube algorithm likes them a certain way. Well, it's supposed to be more optimal. I don't know. Don't ask me. I don't make the rules. I just follow the rules. Well, from what I've done in research anyway, for YouTube videos in a way. So I appreciate your watching. I guess what it boils down to, there's a lot of different songs that sound pretty close to like. One I do remember, and I told my friend that told me about Celtic Frost. When I heard the song, I thought, oh my gosh, I know this song. And I said, where have I heard this song before? And it was just eating away, trying to think what the heck was this song. And I finally figured out it was a Sepultura. Sepultura redid or did a part of. I'm not sure if it's exactly the same, but it's pretty darn close on certain aspects. So it might have been a cover of their song. Yes, I know. I know. I don't want to take that the wrong way. Hey, there's always time for a first for everything, right? Especially when it comes to certain things, right? But that's okay. Hey, I wish it was a woman, but I only got like apparently, let's see, 10% women or something like that on here. So if you know some women, man, or anybody else out there, tell them to come and watch. Metal's for everybody, young, old, male, female, whatever, right? And I do talk about some of the women in metal, and I try to, and I want to encourage that because to me, there's a lot of fields out there that women are kind of emerging into. And I think if we encourage that, and actually, to tell you the truth, I think we've always had the older, white males. I want to see some diversity in it. I want to have younger people that even like rap. And even one of the things I've told my son um, before is that some of the best music out there, at least the ones I've enjoyed, is kind of a mixture of the rap and metal. I know King 810 does a really good job. Oh, you are? Really? Well, with Glover, it's hard to tell. I apologize. So, well, welcome. Maybe you're my one, was it 10% viewership of women? Who knows? So I apologize. You never know with Glover. It sounds kind of like, well, if it was a feminine name, you never know. Sorry, I don't mean to. I should have asked for your pronoun, as my son would tell me. Anyway, it's one of those things. But like I said, it's for everybody, And I think the family community out there, that's the dynamic that I'm trying to go for. I want people to know the musicians, and I'm hoping that they will come and see my channel, say, hey, this is a great idea. People can get to know me along with the music I play, the instruments I play, what encouraged them to play the music that they do. Why do they play what they play, and why do they play? Why do they play how they play, as far as the actual, the instruments, the drums, everything. Because even like Pantera, certain individuals, Mr. Charlie, has actually said that he set up his whole drum kit to be just like Vinny's, which is kind of an honor for him, I guess. But like, I've been talking to somebody out in the public that likes Pantera, or did, when Pantera was Pantera, not the way it is now. He thinks, like a lot of people, it's a money grab, which I can totally understand. So certain individuals got to understand the fans are going to think one way, even though they feel a different way about it. You know what I mean? And I'm sure Glover, my first and best, right, female viewer, you're going to be the best, right here, because you're my first. So, well, not my first when it comes to women, of course, but the word for viewership. Well, yes, of course. Well, thank you for blushing for me. I appreciate that. Hey, that's what it's all about. It reminds me. I watched somebody else when they were doing their they were doing a Vans channel, and I really enjoyed it because I got to know her a lot more. And yes, she was a woman, and I definitely enjoyed it, and I appreciated every single minute. And I actually recorded those because I wanted to see it again. So I couldn't resist, so I had to do it. Plus, I also added that playlist to the Voice of Metal. Actually, it's on my original channel. It's my my main channel. That's my personal stuff, not the Voice of Metal. So Anyway, I appreciate you. You're blushing. I do appreciate that a lot because that's sweet. And that's what it's all about, right? Oh yeah. Oh, oh, yes, I do. Do you know that when they first came out, I was in college for graphic design, and I saw their video for the very first time on MTV, right? And this is when they were starting off music videos and they were doing the animation. I think it was Sober, I believe, is the song that I listened to for the very first time. And when I heard it, I said, oh my gosh, these guys, phenomenal. They're going to be huge. They're going to be big. They're going to be like, they're going to be like Metallica, Megadeth, Anthrax, all the other bands out there. I'm trying to think of who else was out at the time. Oh, I think Sepultura is still highly underrated as far as bands go. So if you never heard Sepultura before, please do. Chaos AD is the one you got to check out, and you definitely got to make sure you do that one because that is the one song that got me started with them. And I've loved their music ever since with Max and Igor Cavalera. Roots was one of their best albums ever, I think. Tool, definitely. It's not super heavy metal. It's more of a rock, but it's a kind of a heavy rock. It's kind of like Nine Inch Nails and things like that. Alice in Chains. I'm trying to think of some of the other ones that were out there. Cold Chamber is a little bit more heavier, I think. There was some other ones that are like really good music. Oh, and the one that's a Firestarter. I forgot who. Prodigy. Prodigy was a kind of a wild, weird thing. And then there was like, oh, what else? There's so many other bands out there that's like they're not quite metal, but yeah, exactly. Yeah, Nine Inch Nails, Rage Against the Machine, Alice in Chains. So you sound like you're more kind of in the lighter realm, or kind of getting there into the heavier stuff. But trust me, some of these. Check out Jessam and Blossom, Celtic Frost. I forgot who else. There's a bunch of them out there. So I've got a playlist out there. So go check those out, Glover. Okay, do me if that favor. Yeah, and the thing is, a lot of these actual groups that I listen to only got to hear one or two songs off all these great bands. And now that I have streaming music years later, I get to hear all the songs. So I can really critique the album, not the song. Because that's the one thing is when you're here on the radio, you have to be very selective when you're young, you only have so much money to spend on an album. So for me, oh, Rammstein, yeah, exactly. Do you like the heavier stuff or are you kind of in the realm of the Tool, Alice in Chains stuff? Oh, Bloody Wood. Check them out. They are phenomenal. Trust me. They're not super heavy. They're kind of like a mix in between Alice in Chains and all that stuff. It's not quite the same, but very awesome stuff. Rammstein. Um, there is a Russian band. I cannot pronounce their name. It starts with a B, but I can't remember. I'll have to look that up later on and find out. But anyway, what I was trying to say is that a lot of the songs that I didn't hear I can hear now because of streaming services like Snap Your Fingers, Snap Your Neck from Prong. There's a lot of other songs out there that are from them. There is, oh, what is the name? Faith No More. Yeah, Faith No More has some really great songs. Um, and there's some other songs out there that, you don't ever hear about, but they're phenomenal. And even also bands that I remember seeing, like the logo from Sacred Reich. Oh my gosh, they are phenomenal. They have some great music out there. Check them out. I got to see them play live with Max and Igor Cavalera. Phenomenal concert. And I also got to hear, no, I didn't get to hear Crowbar. Crowbar didn't make it because of the snow. I think that was through Sepultura. And there was another band that was playing with Max, but I forgot who it was. But it's rather interesting. It's one of those things that's like, you don't know these songs and you go, whoa, it's so phenomenal, right? And you get hooked. Because I've been listening to all these little different things, and then there's a blended mode. No, it's a deep cuts and also discoveries. Discoveries plays music that's close to what you listen to, and then there's a deep cuts, which is the songs you don't hear that are not the main big well known songs from different bands. So yeah, it's kind of crazy. So hopefully that helps you out. Yeah, check it out, explore. It's awesome. Um, Ginger is a definite good band for female singers. Um, I'm trying to think some of the other ones that are really awesome. Yes. Blind Melon, yeah, I know. That was one I used to listen to too. Mostly 90s grunge rock, basically, yes. Mike Patton and Faith No More. Oh yeah, definitely. So you're kind of more of the kind of the cusp of between the pop and the metal. What about Slayer? Are you into Slayer? The heavier stuff? Um, I'm trying to think of some of the other stuff because it's really there's so many different groups. Right now I'm talking about the real heavy stuff, but yeah, check out the playlist. They're really cool. I'm trying to think of some of those. Border Wars is that was a good one from Sepultura. Biohazard is definitely a good group. Sacred Right, of course. Um, of course, Mudvayne is always good. I got to see them live. Lamb of God, Exodus, Angel Corpse, Metal Church, Crowbar, Cavalier Conspiracy, Nail Bomb. Talk about awesome. Nail Bomb is real. They got some really good stuff. Sodom is definitely good. Scar of the Martyr, I think is how you say that. Um, Crater, The Hunted, Testament. Oh, if you want to hear some good stuff, Testament is really awesome. They got some really good stuff. It's a little heavier. Oh, Primus System of a Down is badass too. I'm 22, so oh, gotcha. Do you know that when I was I'm trying to remember in my 20s, right? Close to your age now, probably 22, 20. I forgot exactly how old I was. Trying to think here. I have to do the math. 50 now, 20. Well, back in 2000. We'll just say 2000. 2000 is 22, so minus 22, 50, somewhere around there, 30, 28 or something, I think. It was back in 2000. But anyway, I got to see, it was the Summer Sanitarium Tour where they had Kid Rock, they had Power Man 5000, they had Korn, they had System of the Down, which me and my friend had never heard. We didn't know anything about them. This was the first time we ever heard their music. And we both like, wow, these guys are so different, so cool. And it seemed kind of quirky at the time because it was so far out there that to me it was like, okay, this could work. This is not your typical metal. It's more like he's telling a story. That's what a lot of it is. It sounds like he's telling a story. But he had this really quirky kind of, all these weird sounds, but it worked. And I said, these guys are going to be huge too, and I guarantee you they will. And sure enough, lo and behold, System was I was hoping they put out a new album, but I heard the singer, or Sergi, great guy I've heard from a friend of mine, actual co-worker of mine, said he's a really friendly, very smart, very intelligent guy. Is not I don't know what's going on with that. If he's doing it, I don't know. He's just not being a part of the band for some reason, so I don't know what's going on with that. That'd be kind of cool to ask him that question. See, that was the whole reason why I started the channel. So, Glover, check it out. Check out some of the other stuff. Check out the playlist and everybody else out there too. And this is actually going to be longer than I thought because somebody got me talking. So I usually end up doing that when people start talking to me. So it's one of those things. So I appreciate. See, now you're gonna make me blush because I got you kind of talking to me and me talking to you. So All right, well, I am going to wrap things up for tonight. And thank you, Glover, for being my very first live stream chatter on my channel, which I appreciate. The only thing is, I might not, once we got stars on here, who knows, musicians, I should say, uh, it might be a little harder to answer questions and have a conversation with people. So we'll see, right? So I'll talk to you later. Thanks again for watching. Take care. Have a good night. And don't forget to no, I should say headbang the like and subscribe button. Take care and have a good night.